Okay.
Hi, my name is Uri, and this is Alon.
Hi guys, how are you?
We're from the App Market team, and today we're going to show you how to build an app and how you can sell it on the Wix App Market. Before we get started, please install Node.js on your computer, Yarn or NPM, and ensure that you have an IDE or text editor. We'll be using Visual Studio Code. The Wix App Market is a place where you can install and find various solutions to help you or your clients with your websites. We have a lot of solutions in that market. So there are times where you actually don't have to go and build it yourself. So I know that a lot of different videos from the DevCon have been talking about making things yourself, but sometimes you don't have to. There are cases where you want to do something very advanced, like payroll calculation, connecting to an accounting solution, handling shipping. And these are things that are difficult to set up. And in many cases, you might want to just go to the app market and use an existing solution to save you and your client money and time. There are over 400 apps in the app market, things like business apps, connector apps, and visual apps. So whether it's connecting to a POS service or adding reviews to your website, you may find the solution in that market. But there are cases where maybe you can make a better solution, or you can customize it exactly to your needs or to your client needs. And in some of those cases, you might think, hey, maybe other people need it, and I can go and sell it on that market to make more money. So in that market, we have millions of users who come and visit. There are only 400 apps, so there's plenty of room to grow. And you get to keep 100% of the revenue in the first year and 80% in the years after that. So what are we waiting for? Alon, let's do this.
Cool. So I'll take control now, and we basically want to build an app in under the 60 minutes. We'll go over this README, and of course, we will share with you the repo in this video comments, so you can start by yourself. Okay, so what we are going to build today, we call it the product of the day. When the site owner will install this app on his site, he will get on one hand a dashboard where the site owner can basically select one of his products from his store and then select the discount percentage of this product of the day. On the other hand, he will get the option when a site visitor visits this store and saying something in the chat, he will get a message back with this coupon code. So you can see here, this is the dashboard page of the app, where a site owner is basically configure the product of the day and the discount percentage. And on the other end, when a visitor visits this site and saying hi, the response from our app is generating a coupon and saying, please, we will be right with you. And please, in the meanwhile, please, you can use this coupon code to buy the product of the day. Okay, so we have a few steps here. So let's run it one by one. Let's start with cloning the repo. So this repo is basically an Express server app, and joining with the client side of React is a very basic tools of the industry. But of course, you can use any technology related to UI or server code with HTTP protocol. You can basically also build it on Wix Velo and use the UI of Wix site as the dashboard and the Velo APIs in order to establish a server and do all the server code under Wix site. But this is basically an Express and React JS. Let's get started. So I will copy this clone and go to my terminal, I will see that I'm at home, and I will make a directory of devcon 2022. Let's go to the directory and run git. Copy this already, and we are now cloning this repo. And let's go back to the README. We are saying here, let's change directory. So we do that. So you can see now that we are basically in this repo. We have the README client, server, some images, and the guide itself, right? Cool. So let's talk about a little bit what you need before you start. Like we said, you need a Node.js installed on your computer and some IDE. So for example, I will open now the VS Code. So we will have some kind of IDE to the code itself. Cool. Next step. So in the next step, we basically create an app in the Dev Center, but unfortunately, I think I didn't make the preparation. So let's look. Okay, guys. So now we are in the Dev Center, and basically what I want to do now is click the Get Started in order to build a new app. But first of all, a few words on the Dev Center. The Dev Center is the place when you create apps. And of course, you have here a lot of links for API reference, support, and of course, the app market itself. If you want to have a quick look about our support, you can see here a lot of articles, how to build apps and how to get started. And of course, the app market itself, when you basically can see all the current apps and the newest apps and the solution that we have now. Cool. So we are here now in the Dev Center, and we ready to get started. Let's click the Get Started. And we will click here the Start Building, and it will create our first app. Cool. Let's have a look here what we have here in the first screen of the of this app. You basically have all the guidelines how to set up your app, but I will start first by changing the name here. Let's call it a product of the day. Nice. So on the left side here, you have the sidebar menu. You, of course, can see here the components, which are basic building blocks of the app, and the OAuth permissions. We will get to it during this workshop. Webhooks, market listing. Let's jump to the market listing. Well, basically, here you can change all the listings of your app, how it will look like to customers in the market. For now, I will just add a new icon. So I prepared in advance some icon in my computer. It is on the desktop. It's a nice green icon. Let's add it and click Save. So you can add, of course, more screens and pricing. You can decide on the business model of your app, if it's free, freemium, premium, if you want to earn money from it, and monetize it somehow from Wix users. Cool. Let's go back to the, where is it? Here it is. So I will basically think I will create another desktop, more comfortable for me to have the Dev Center on desktop 4 and the README here. So we click the start building and get started, as you see here. And now we will basically create a testing site, a development testing site. Why we need to do that? We basically creating a site which is a premium site in Wix, when you can have all the features of premium users, including, for example, connected domain and the ability to accept payments and do other stuff as a premium user in order to basically test your app as a premium user of Wix. So we are here in the Dev Center again, and we're going back to the dashboard and clicking the test your app. We have a pop-up that's saying which kind of app of testing site you want to create. We will choose Wix stores. As you remember, we are building product of the day app, so we will need some products in our store. So we will keep the selection of Wix store and click create site. It will take a while. We're basically building on the background some sites. We're cloning some templates for you, and we are basically adding you as a contributor to this site. Cool. So now we basically need to publish the site. So what we will do, we will go to wix.com. We will find this development site. We will open the editor of this site, and we publish it. So I will open another tab here, click wix.com. This is my only site, so it opens automatically. Sometimes you need to select the site between different sites that you already have. The development site always start with dev site as a prefix. Cool. I will click here for edit site. It will open another tab with the Wix editor. And then I will look for the publish button and publish the site. This will create basically a URL, connected domain to your site, and then we will be able to test our app on it later on. So the publish button is on the right corner. Let's click on it. Cool. Let's go back to the README. So we are here. I hope everybody is with me. We created an app, and then you click on test your app, created a site, and publish the site on the editor. Next, we will find the APIs for our app. So we have here our Wix documentation of the APIs. Basically, all the information you need in order to call APIs, to understand which permissions you need to call APIs and what you need to do in order to get the what we call the access token and the OAuth. We will see it in the next steps that we do for our app. Cool. So let's go back to the README. We need to find a few APIs. So one API is basically allowing us to access the store products. As you remember, in this app dashboard, the site owner is looking for the product of the day he wants to offer his customers. So we will do an API call for this product of the day. So the API call will be for the store's product. If we will click here, you will see, and you can read more about it later on, that this is the Wix store's APIs, and we have API called query products. And you will see here how you can call it on post message and what should be the body params, etc. and etc. I will show it later on also on the code itself. Cool. So the next API that we need for our app is basically an API that helps us generate a coupon. So when a site visitor writing us a message in the chat, we will basically want to generate a coupon for this product of the day and send it to the site visitor. So if we click here, we basically see the coupons API, and we are here in create a coupon. It's also a post message, and you'll get in here the parameters that you need to send in order to generate a coupon. You can see here, for example, start time, expiration time, usage limit, and also scope, which will be here, week stores. And of course, we will set the specification of this product ID that chosen by the site owner. And the last API that we need is basically helping us to send message in the chat widget. If we click here, you will see another tab that I opened, and the API itself will be loaded shortly. It's helping us send messages in the chat. Come on. Okay, let it load, and we will jump to another step. So the next step is basically add permissions to the app. Every app that wants to access some APIs needs to choose the right permissions in order to grant the right token and have the option to access this API. So in the links that I already opened, we can see that the permission section, and I can see here, for example, that in order to query products, I need a manage products permission or read products permission. In our case, read products is enough because we don't do anything with the products, and we are not updating it or nothing else. We just read it. So let's add read products to our app. So I'm going back to my app. This is the site, but here we have our app, and basically we can close this and go into the permission sections, right? I will click add permissions on the right hand, and I will choose the category, which is Wix stores. And if you remember, it was read product permission. I will click save. Cool. Let's go back to the README. Yeah, we have a screenshot for that. Read product. The next permission that we need is basically manage coupons. As you remember, let's go back to the Dev Center, click add permission, choose the coupons section, and mark the manage coupons and click save. So basically we have coupons and Wix stores. Let's go back to the README. And now we need the option to send messages to the chat. So it's called manage inbox messages. As I said, here you can also see that in the permission section under the API that you need, and it's called manage inbox messages. And we go back to the Dev Center and add also this permission, right? So it's under Wix chat. Where is it? Here it is. And we click the manage inbox messages and click save. Cool. So we are done with the permission section, and we can continue to the dashboard component. Cool. So what we will do in these steps, we basically start the React client side of our app, and we will configure the dashboard component in the development center. So first, we need to go to our terminal. Terminal is basically here, and we go to client. I basically use Yarn here, but you can use also NPM. I will click Yarn, sorry, in order to install all the dependencies of this client React.js. It's a simple create React app project, and basically it will download all the dependencies. Cool. I will go back to the README, and you can see I did the CD to client and yarn. But the next command that I need to run is this. I will copy it and go back to the terminal and paste it, click start. This will basically open the localhost 3000 and load the UI of the dashboard that we want to show to the site owner. In this UI, you will choose the product of the day and the discount percentage that we want to send to send to our site visitors. This is a very simple UI. You can see that it was loaded, and we want now to configure it on the Wix developers under our own app. So I'm going to the Wix developers and going to the components section. A few words about components. Components can be a few kinds. It can be a visual components. So basically you can show something on the Wix site, and it can be a dashboard component where you basically loading an iframe in the Wix Business Manager where the site owner manages site. In our case, we will build a dashboard component, as we said, and I will paste here the HTTPS in this case because it's mandatory to have it secured on to my localhost on 3000 port. Let's click save here, and we have a dashboard component. Cool. So you can see the steps here, and we can jump to configure the OAuth. So a few words about OAuth. OAuth is a mechanism when we are basically exchanging some kind of tokens and keys, and we are sending the user to some kind of a consent, and then redirecting to your server with a refresh token and access token. The refresh token can be related as a password, and the access token is basically a one-time password. And we will see later on in the code how we are getting a new access token on every API call because it's only valid for 5 minutes. So let's do this step now. What we will do here, we will start the server side of the code. It's a Node.js server, but like I said before, you can build it on PHP or you can build it with Java, whatever you want, as long as it's a HTTP server. And of course, we will configure the OAuth part in the Wix developer set. So now we need to open a new terminal. So I already opened a new tab here, and let's go to the DevCon and to the developer example and the product of the day. Like we said, we need to do cd to the server folder, and now I'm in the server folder. Cool. I'll also use yarn here and install all the dependencies of the server. Like I said, it's an Express server written in JavaScript. We will do a little bit of diving to the code later on, but for now, I'm just starting it. And the installation ended, and now I will run this command. Okay, let's talk about a little bit about environment variables. In this case, we need a few environment variables like the app ID and the app secret, and we will use the .env file. Please do not commit the .env file to your GitHub. It's a secret file that you need to only put on the deploy process, not on the writing code process, right? So we prepared an example .env file. I will just copy it to the .env file of the project. Cool. Now I will open the editor, the Visual Studio Code, open it under the server, and you can see here that it includes other app IDs and other app secrets, and we need to change it to our app ID and app secret. You can see the steps here, like where to take the app ID and app secret, but we will go directly to the OAuth page on the sidebar. Let's then copy this app ID, replace it here on the .env file, reveal the app secret, and put it here on the .env file. We will skip the webhook public key for now because we will do it on the next step. Cool. So now, after we run yarn on the server side and bring all the dependencies and created an .env file, we are now ready to start our server. We will click this command, which is yarn run start. And let's go back here to the terminal. Okay, we built especially a service that called local tunnel. What is this local tunnel? It's basically give you some URLs that live on the internet that redirect all the traffic to your local host. So you can see here that we printed a few URLs and we can copy them to the OAuth part of the app. This is the redirect URL. Let's copy it. And we put it here under the redirect URL section of the OAuth page. Let's also copy the app URL. And we click save. So as I said, now we have a server that basically running on your local machine, but we configure some kind of tunneling between some address in the internet to your local machine. So the code can run on your local machine, but the configuration of the app is containing links on the internet, right? Cool. We can go over a little bit about the other server command that we have. Of course, we can stop the server. We can see the logs of the server. We can delete the PM2, which is a tool that keeps the server up all the time. And of course, we can run some tests. This is the final result, like we showed on the OAuth part, right? And we are now ready to add the webhook. So what are webhooks? Webhooks are basically, in simple words, are callbacks on your server that we will call when some events happened on Wix sites. For example, in our case, when a visitor of the site writes a message in the chat, we will send you a webhook. And you will know that there is a new message in the chat by some visitor. So we need to find the right webhook here because we have a lot of webhooks. For example, we have webhook for app was installed or app was upgraded, and I don't know, webhooks of big stores that purchase was made, or abandoned card or cart or something like that. So in our case, we need this webhook, which is basically message sent to business. So you can see here also in Wix docs, the right documentation, which permissions you need for this webhook and stuff like that. But the permission will be added automatically if you add the webhook. And you can see the event body, which means in this case, we will get the message itself and the conversation ID and the visitor ID and stuff like that. So let's add the webhook to our app. We will go to the webhook page in the sidebar and click add webhook. In this case, we will look for the chat And as we said, message sent to business is what we are interested in. Of course, we will need the callback URL, and here we are also going back to our terminal because we printed this callback URL in the terminal. Let's copy it and let's put it in the callback and click save. So we now have a webhook that was we will send it when we get a chat in a message in the chat, and we will send a callback to your endpoint. We will also need the public key of your app. With using this public key, you basically know that this is Wix, and then this is Wix sending you the data, because everyone can access your callback URL, right? But you need to check that this callback is actually coming from Wix. So we have a public key. We will go to our .env file, as we mentioned before, and we will change the public key, right? Let's go back to the README again and see that we are on the right place. We did this step of saving the webhook. We just did this step of copying the key and like replacing it on the .env file. And we need to stop and start our server. So let's go to the command line and the terminal and click stop. And you can see here that the status is stop. And of course, we can copy this and click start. And now the server is back up. It's connecting to the local tunnel, and you will get server started. And when the server is started, you're basically ready to go. And we are now ready to basically go into the next step of seeing our app in action. So after we configure the app, we connected the server side, we connected the OAuth, we connected the dashboard, and everything is ready, right? We basically need to install the app on the site. So we are going to the Dev Center now, going to the dashboard part, and we have a button here called Test Your App. I will click it and go to the app market. So this is a visualization of the app, how it will look like in the app market. For now, I only change the name and the icon, and in the end, you probably add more visual content here and words about your app, what it does, and stuff like that. Let's click the Add to Site. Okay. Since I already have only one site, it's already know which site I want to install the app. Some of you will get the site selector when you select the site that you want to add, but I only have one site, this development site that we created in the beginning of this workshop. I will click Add to Site, and hopefully everything will work. Unfortunately not. Let's pause the code. Okay, guys, so we are in the phase when we want to test our app. So we are clicking on the Test Your App and clicking the App Market. And we will get the App Market. This is a preview of your app. I just changed the name and the icon, but you can change a lot more information here, like add more images and say a few words about the benefits of your app and stuff like that. Let's click Add to Site here. Cool. This is the consent. Basically, here, site owner is agreeing for the app to access this permission, the permission that we chose in our app, manage coupons, manage inbox messages, and stuff like that. So it's related to the token that you will receive, and it's related to the consent that the site owner needs to give to our app. We'll click here, add to site. Something went wrong. Let's do that again. Hopefully it will work this time. Sometimes it's related to caching mechanism that we have since it's a test app, so forgive us for that. Okay, so now it works. Second time it works. Second time is the charm. And the dashboard is loaded. This is the dashboard of your app. You can see it on the left side. This is the product of the day under apps. And basically, this is the iframe of localhost 3000. If you remember, if I open localhost 3000 under the HTTPS, I will see the same screen, right? So this is the screen. I will click here, choose a product, and then I will insert the word that I want to look for my product. Most of the product on the development site start with I'm a product. This is the title of the product, right? So I'm getting all the products. I'm a product, I'm a product. So I will choose one, let's say this bottle or something like that, and to select. This is pricing in shekels because I'm in Israel, so the site was created with shekels. But you can change that in this actually screen of the business manager. Let's put, I don't know, 20% discount. I will be generous today and click save. So here the site owner is basically configure the app, choose the product of the day, and now we can go to the live site and write something in the chat, and let's see the response from our app. So I'm going here to the home, and I have here view live site. Hopefully it will load. Cool. And sometimes it doesn't load because we just connected this domain. So if you have some trouble, come back in a few hours because it's related to DNS issues. When we connect domain, it can take up to 24 hours or something like that to connect the domain to the site, right? I will click chat with us, and I will just say, hey, here. First, I will get something that this chat is configured, but here is finally our product of the day message with a discount of 20%. You can see the bottle, you can see the title, and you have a link also here for the product of the day. Let's copy this discount percentage. Let's click the product page. Let's do add to cart, and then do view cart. I'm not sure why it's not 100 right now, because maybe there is some discount on it. But I will enter the promo code that we got from the bot, from the chat, from our app that basically generate this coupon. Click apply, and you will see that I have product of the day, promo code 19 shekels down, and I will pay a total of 76 shekels. So basically, you see the app in action. From one end, you are getting the option to set the product of the day and the discount percentage. On the other end, you are writing, a visitor is writing something on your site, and you are getting back this promo code. But please notice that if I write another message here, every time I write a message, we are getting a webhook to our app, and we are generating a new coupon for that. So this is basically something that I want to fix in the app, and this is the live coding that we are going to do together. Cool. So let's go to our README. We did all these steps, and we configure, and we see the live site, and we got the product of the day. And now we are going to do some live coding to prevent from sending it again and again and again on every message. And we want to send it only once a day, right? This is the product of the day thing. So we will do a little bit editing on the code, and I'll explain a little bit about the code. So let's open our code. This code will be in the server. We will go to what's called the service, and we have product of the day service, and we have a function here called send coupon of the day. And in this function, I want to add some if statement, if condition, right? But first, what we need to do is save the coupon that we send with the conversation ID. The conversation ID is the uniqueness of the ID of this visitor, right? So we will save the coupon of the day, the conversation ID, and the date that we send it. So I already prepared a few lines of code about it in our database, the option to save this coupon, but let's do it live. So first of all, we will use date.js, which will help us to save or create dates, right? So I will add it here. Cool. And second, we will create in the function called send coupon of the day, we will create a variable named today, which will be in the format of a date without a time, right? Now we need also to save it to the database. So we will add a call to the coupon DAO, which is the coupon database connection that we have. We will do it just before we send in it, right? Here we have the coupon data. Let's check. We have the coupon data. We have today. We have the conversation ID, and we have the instance ID. Cool. We can say a few words about instance ID. Instance ID is a unique identifier that when you install the app on a site, we generate this identifier for you and send it to you. So you will know this is a specific customers of yours, right? This site is, the site is related to this instance ID of your app. So I'm saving it in the database always with some kind of identifier on your end, right? If you want an email, or if you want user ID, you keep it together with the instance ID, and then you have the connection between the Wix user and your current user. Cool. Let's go here. So after we saved this coupon, we now need to add the if statement. If we already sent this user a coupon, we don't want to send it again and again and again, right? So I will use the get before we are sending the coupon. So I will add it somewhere, I think. Let's see if this is the right location. We have here the conversation ID. No, we don't have here the conversation ID. Well, we have the conversation ID only here. Cool. So now we have a coupon. It's basically an array of an answer of a coupon. And if it's empty, we know that we can continue in sending the coupon. If we already sent the coupon, the result would not be empty here. So we will add a condition, but here we need a load dash, which will help us to do the is empty statement. I will add it here also at the top. And now I basically can add the is empty coupon to check. I will add it here, right? And now we'll do this. With this space here. Cool. So only if we are if you didn't send any coupons today, right? Like here we are asking the database or querying the database for this conversation ID, did we send a coupon? And as you remember, we did the saving here. So if we already sent him a coupon, we will not sending it again. So let's test it. I think that the server is like started successfully. That's cool. Sorry. Let's go to our live site here and let's write hey again. We're supposed to get one coupon, and in the next messages, cool, we got a coupon. The next messages should not send us any more coupons, right? Let's do hey again. Let's cross our fingers that everything is working. Seems like it, right? We are not sending any more coupons because we save the coupons for this conversation ID for today in our database. Cool. So let's do a little bit of deep dive to the code before we finish everything. So I can show you here that this is a very simple React client, create React app. And you have here components related to the product card, product of the day, the selection itself. And it's basically calling the APIs of the server. And the server is the more interesting here, the code of the server. So let's do a little bit of deep dive. The entry point here is app.js. Basically, you can see it's an Express app, right? And you had some routing and some calls for APIs. And so we have the OAuth routing, the API routing, and the webhook routing, right? And we can like go a little bit to the APIs. For example, this is the store API, and this is the query product that we want to do. When I click on the dashboard, the IM to do a search, we do a query product, right? And how is it working? It's working because we are getting from the dashboard itself, from the client itself, we are getting this instance ID. Because where Wix is loading your dashboard code, it's giving you an instance ID as a parameter, right? And you can use this instance ID, you understand that this is your identification of this client, and then you go to the database and you take in the refresh token, which we talked about it on the OAuth part, right? The refresh token, it's like a password that you save on your database beside this instance ID. You say instance ID, and this is the refresh token. And when you save it, of course, securely, because you can generate access token with it. So we are taking this refresh token from the database, and then we are accessing Wix servers to get access token. And access token is like one-time password, right? It's only used for 5 minutes, and you can use it to call the APIs that you have permission to. You cannot call an API that you don't have permission to, right? So in this case, we are getting fresh access token from Wix servers, and then we are doing a post call to the query product with this access token as authorization header. And of course, we are getting the result of the products, and this is how we show it to you in the dashboard of the app. If you remember, I can go here again to the dashboard of our app. Let's go to this product of the day again. So now we save this product of the day, but if we want to replace it, we are opening it. And here, basically, we are calling this API, right? If I'm doing, again, I'm getting on the products that begins with the words I am. Cool. This is an example of API. We can also see a few other things here. For example, we have here the webhook verification. What we do basically is taking in the public key that we insert to the .env file, if you remember, and then we do a verification on the data that arrives to your callback. And how do you know it comes from Wix? Because of this public key. And here we are running some kind of decoding and extracting the data from a JWT token, and we are using this public key to verify that this data is coming from Wix. And then you can do with this data what you need to do in your system. In our case, we just receiving this webhook, we are extracting the conversation ID somehow, and then we are generating a coupon and sending the coupon to the this conversation ID. You can see it also here in the coupons API. I basically create a coupon here, and I'm getting again the instance ID and the product and the discount percentage, and I'm basically generating a coupon using the coupon service of Wix and calling it and returning the coupon itself. And in the messages part, here you can see that I'm sending a message again. I'm getting the refresh token of this instance. I'm generating a fresh access token that only validates for 5 minutes, and then I'm calling the messages with the message, right? And if you want to see how we generate the message, I can look for it. It's probably on the service of the product, yes. And here you can see that I generate a message, and this is the message. I'm putting here the conversation ID. I'm putting here my app ID, and I'm putting here also the coupon code and the product page URL, as you saw in the chat itself. We can go and look for it again. So all the data here, the image, the link here, and of course the coupon code is this message, right? What else? So basically, this is the basic of the code. We are basically having some Express with some HTTP URLs that routing that you are getting some calls, part of them related to the OAuth part, and part of them related to the APIs part, and basically the client of the React is talking to with our server. And of course, the webhook callback, which is getting the messages from the chat and then writing generating the coupon and then sending it to the user. And in this case, we also like saving the data in some files. We don't use any database here. It's like a file database. But of course, you can use any database that you like. If you want MySQL, you want like Mongo, whatever you are comfortable with, and you can basically save the data over there. And this is just for the example. We just did it on file database. That's it. I think I'm done here. I think that we can go back to Uri, which will basically can finish this presentation. So Uri, take it along.
Great. I hope you've learned a lot on how to make an app. If you do choose to make an app, once you finish setting up all the different components, whether it's just a dashboard or also visual components, which you can read about in our documentation, you'll also want to go and set up the marketing. You're going to give your app a name, give it images, decide on the pricing and business model, and all of that can also be found in our documentation. You also have the option to just use the app for yourself or for your clients. If you wish to do so, you can go into the Team Members tab in the Developer Center, and there's a way to get a link to share your app with a small amount of people. In this case, you don't have to set up any pricing or market listing, etc. If you do wish to submit your app for review, you'll see in the Submit App section any blockers that you may have. Once you fill all of the information out that is required, you'll be able to submit your app. Our team will review it in under 14 days. Usually it's much less than that, and we'll get back to you with any feedback we have and publish it once it's ready. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to us in the link as shown or through the support tab in the Developer Center. All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoy it, and send us some apps, right? We are waiting for your ideas.